We all want to learn English language, and if I correct myself, actually it's not only about learning the language, it is about conversing in English. We all want to talk in English. But at the same time, we all are scared of the grammar. Reasons are obvious. I believe that majority of us, we all have come from that background where our schooling had been from very ordinary schools. And by the time we encountered with the language, English, it was portrayed before us as a language of the foreigners, as a language of the superiors. You know, we people from the developing country, these foreigners and foreign countries have always fascinated us a lot. And same is the picture even today. And at that point of time, during our school days, English was portrayed as a language of those superior people. So since that very moment of time, this thing was embedded inside our minds that English is not our cup of tea. And frankly speaking, we grew up with the similar kind of feeling. I remember my college and university days. My friends who had their schooling been done from very branded kind of schools, they used to converse in English. And at that point of time, even I remember, I couldn't dare to speak in English because I always had that fear that I would make the mistakes, and grammar has always been very weak in my case. Now when we all are on this platform and we are trying to make all efforts to overcome all the hurdles coming our way of learning this language, somewhere that fear of grammar is still existing there. I have seen so many of the videos giving the caption that you can converse in English without learning grammar. My dear friends, when now I'm conversing with you, can you point out whatever I'm talking to you, that taking any example of any of my sentence, that which part of that sentence belongs to grammar, which is so scary? Actually, dear friends, whatever I'm saying, like when I'm speaking one sentence, every part of that sentence belongs to some part of the grammar. Grammar is not something else. Whatever we are saying, in what way we are making the sentences, every part of that sentence belongs to some part of the grammar. But because that fear of grammar is existing somewhere at the back of our minds, I would simply say you forget about grammar for the time being. We will do the same thing in a different way. One thing is for sure, grammar is an integral part of any sentence we speak or we make. But how to make our learning happen without stressing out, without thinking about grammar? Let's do it that way. Let's take the example of a baby. A baby learning a language. When baby is very small, we all notice in our families that a small baby, when the baby is not going to school and baby is not learning anything from anywhere, baby learns that language by listening to the people around him. How does that happen? Baby starts figuring out the meanings of the words used on daily basis, those words which belong to that baby. बच्चे ने दूध पीना है, बेबी ने खाना खाना है, बेबी खाना खाएगा, बेबी दूध पिएगा. So because when those words are used in front of the baby on daily basis, so baby starts figuring out the meaning of those words. One thing. Another, baby learns a language by listening this stuff on daily basis. So what is the conclusion of this very example? The conclusion of this example is that if we want to speak anything can be anything. It can be related to your daily routine, it can be related to your office work, it can be related to your driving, can be related to your going out for shopping, or it can be related to whatever you do when you are at home in your living room or in your kitchen. You have to compartmentalize all these things. You can't go ahead with everything from day one. So start learning the words related to that particular specific area, the way baby does. Another thing is then start listening. Baby learns by listening, and listening is a very important key if you want to converse in English. You may take it as a mantra also, that start listening the English content, and that content related to whatever you want to learn, related to your choice. Not any English content. At least initially, you should start learning the content related to your choice. So once you are done with these two things, that you have become familiar with the words about which you want to talk about, everything related to that, it can be something which we can see with the naked eye or something which is there in the minds. Because you are to learn all these kinds of words. Not only the object or the articles which we see. There is so much of the stuff which is not related to these materialistic things. Like I'm thinking. So you should be familiar with the word thinking, speaking, learning. So learn all these words. Another thing then, start listening the contents related to that. It would enhance your vocabulary, and at the same time you will get to know about the pronunciation, that in what way that word is spoken and in what context that word is spoken. And the final thing, start practicing the uses of these words. Whatever you have learned, start speaking out. So start speaking on daily basis. It is all up to you that in a whole day how much time you can spare on speaking, and for that you will have to create an environment around you. Now the problem is how to create that environment. In my old video and in many videos, the way the tutors, they give you the guidance that start speaking to yourself. So that doesn't mean start speaking to yourself mean any XYZ kind of thing you have to speak out. Start speaking with yourself like it is me, and me is my friend also, or anybody around me. And you can imagine yourself as if you are talking to your friend, or if you are driving, you can imagine anything, whatever is happening around you, or anything related to traffic. Or you can imagine like you want to go out to see a movie, and before that you want to book the ticket for the movie, or you want to make some plans with your friends. So start making the sentences related to that. So practice these kinds of sentences when you are alone, or you are having some time, or when you are driving, or you are cooking in the kitchen. Start talking to yourself by framing these kinds of sentences. And at the same time, then start using those sentences by conversing with somebody in person, so that you don't hesitate when you find yourself in actual situation of that kind. So I would like to summarize it, that start learning the vocabulary. First thing is learn vocabulary. Vocabulary is, what is vocabulary? It is just related to words of anything or everything which you want to talk about. And second thing, start listening. Listening would enhance your vocabulary and help you in framing up of the sentences. Then start framing sentences when you are alone by creating some situation around you. And finally, start practicing speaking skills with somebody in person. And one fine day you would realize that you have learned this language without knowing that when did you learn grammar? Because grammar is an integral part of each and every sentence.